Hmm. Um, I think the biggest part is the community of it, like the opportunity to just like be. Oh no.
I hate what this mic does. Uh, it's annoying. Um, I was paying attention and I caught it. Um,
Nice.
but hi, welcome to Charm Persons. This is Meet the Persons with Emily Tabor, who you got to know a little bit in the Meet the Persons with the ladies of Charm Persons. But we're gonna get to know her a little bit more now. We already know how you got into D&D. You and Miranda were looking to play a game, and I decided I'll GM, and we've been ever since. So the first question that I asked you is, what are you drawn to about TTRPGs? What brings you to them? What do you like about them?
Yeah, the sense of community, just like getting to be with my favorite people on a scheduled, regular basis, where it doesn't feel like we have to complain about work or complain about life, or, like you just like don't have to delve into your real life for a few hours, but still be with the people that you love. Um, and it's funny because I like have a certain amount of social anxiety, not really social anxiety, but like anxiety about being up in front of people. Like improv makes me very nervous, and like D&D really doesn't seem like it should be something that I was drawn to.
Mm.
And I don't know if it was just like Miranda was already doing it and I like you guys, so I came along or what, but it's funny how drawn to it I was really. I don't know why I was.
So yeah, that's interesting because it's like it's not really the games themselves or doing anything in the games themselves that draws you to it. It's really just the aspect of like friends and stuff. So
Yeah, and I think breaking
at this point, because you've been doing it for so long,
yeah.
do you think that's still the case? Like, do you think you could still replace this activity with any activity and still feel the same way about it? Or is there something within tabletop role playing games that you found that you love?
I think the thing that makes this different than anything else is like I have a theater degree like a lot of us do. Like I'm a storyteller.
Mm,
And so it feels a lot like just creating like a script workshop or creating a story with people. And so I think the big thing that's different is being able to come together and explore our characters and just tell a story together.
yeah, I love that. Um, okay, so with that being the case, um, tell us a little bit about um, when you the first character that you played was Zira, who we
Ziria.
Ziria, who you got to meet a little bit in the Kelsey's Quests one shots, um, and now you're playing Maywin. From Ziria to Maywin, what's the journey with your characters? What have you tried to find with your characters? What are some of your favorite characters that you've played? Just talk about the characters you've played and like what's your favorite? How have you changed the way you develop a character?
Yeah. I think all my characters are sort of just self-exploration. Like I really try, and especially as we've played more, I've tried to make characters that are further away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I love exploring, I think that uh Aora was one of my favorite characters, and she was also the most chaotic and like the least grounded, but it was fun to explore that side of me that doesn't always like say exactly what I want to say or take those big risks right away. And it was a fun journey and self exploration. I think that my journey is like I'm trying to get more and more grounded, and I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
make it less like, ooh, this seems like it would be fun, and more based on the storytelling that we were talking about, and like based in actually building a character and what would this character do.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong, doing stuff because of the fun of it. But it is cool to have those like more
Hmm.
grounded foundations for a character because it leads to really cool moments like what we've had with Maywin and Quinn lately, campaign
Yeah.
two, and I mean, you IRL got slightly frustrated in last week's session because you're just invested,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that that's fun. I think that that leads to good storytelling, and
Mayron's
um
definitely the best balance I've found, I think, of like
yeah,
still being kind of like brash and like saying whatever she wants, but also like continuing to be very grounded.
yeah. Um, so you have a couple of times already and continue to toy with the fact of coming on the other side of the
Mhm.
GM screen. You had last year's Christmas one shot. You've done, I think, another one as well, and then you have next Tuesday, a week from today's one. So talk about what it's like coming into these systems, being a player, not really knowing what's going on, to then feeling like you have enough knowledge to run a game.
It's been fun. I feel like for years, if I didn't play with like the people I play with, I maybe would have DM'd, but like I came in playing with people who knew a lot about the game, like even just from watching content, like a lot of the vocabulary, a lot of like you can be like, oh yeah, I know that this spell does this, or I know that that spell, there were things that you guys were able to do that I still can't, but I have a terrible memory. Um, but it is fun to feel like I know what I'm doing enough to feel like I can maybe not DM a full campaign, but DM a session, and sort of know what I'm doing. And I don't know, it was fun to take the leap because I still am never going to get to the point where I can recall information the way that you can,
Hmm.
or the way that Matt can, or the way that Eric, the way that a lot of these people can, just because that's not how my brain is wired. But it was fun to kind of it's been fun to take that leap of faith and be like, okay, well, I'm not always going to know what I'm doing, but I'm with my friends
Yeah,
and they all know what they're doing, so they'll all help me out.
yeah. As a person with a directing and theater degree, you're a director. What aspect of that have you brought into GM,
um
if any?
I think that I have been, as a character, often the person to try to like keep the not always keep the story moving forward, but like keep the group together, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of be the consensus of the group and sit more in the middle of everything. And I think that that is really like, I mean, in a rehearsal process, a director is the person who takes all these 100 ideas and kind of funnels them through one lens.
Yeah,
And so I think a lot of my characters have ended up being that for the group dynamic and for keeping the story going, keeping um often we have groups of people who we have to sort of justify being together and staying together. And so I feel like I very often play characters that are like, okay, this is why we're here. Come on, guys, this is why we're here.
yeah. Well, what aspect of your, and then what aspect of your directing do you feel like you've brought into running a game?
I feel like that is much more leaning into my directing really because I
Yeah.
am like letting you guys play like I would with actors in a rehearsal, but ultimately shaping the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have always sort of doubted my like writer side of directing
Yeah.
theater whatever,
Yeah.
and DMing really leans into that writing side.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been like it's fun to be able to write like through a director's lens to
Yeah.
create a session.
Um, so one of the things that is always a go-to about your games, definitely, and sometimes even about your characters, even though I feel like your characters are either very bubbly or kind of like spooky and sassy, but your
Hmm.
games are definitely always have a spook.
Yeah,
So what draws you to the spooks?
I like spooks. I feel like it's easy for me to think of like spooky imagery,
Hmm.
and I love the way that people react when you have good spooky imagery or good spooky concept.
Yeah.
um I also feel like it's sort of there is sort of a normal fantasy D&D kind of vibe, adventuring party, and everything works out in the end, or it doesn't, like I feel like it sort of goes against the grain in that way, which is interesting because there's a lot of spooky D&D content.
Yeah.
uh, but I ultimately would like to make horror films, and so it
Hmm.
feels like a way to try out some of those spooky moments that I have in my brain that could eventually go on a screen and see what they look like in a D&D session.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think a lot of GMs would agree that being like putting spooky moments in the game is that's difficult.
Hmm.
Um, because it's a game. Everybody knows it's a game. Also, virtually, it's hard to do because you really are just you have your words and maybe some audio.
Yeah.
And it can be difficult to do that. But I feel like you really fall easily into that. Have you always just in your life been into spooky things?
No, it's funny. I remember, I don't know if I've ever even told you this story, but I remember the first real play I was ever in. I auditioned for the student directed plays my freshman year of high school. And there were three comedies and one pretty dark show.
Mm,
And I, at the time, and I think probably some of this was just I want to be cute.
yeah.
I was like, I want to be in the comedies. I really don't want to be in this dark one. I really want to get into one of the comedies. And then I ended up in the dark show, and I feel like it opened my eyes to oh, this is cool. This is a fun way to tell a story. This is really
Yeah.
interesting. This really brings out emotions in people. And then I worked on a couple pretty spooky plays and stuff in college. Um, and those were always the most I don't know, they were the most fun. It was it's so
Yeah.
fun to put all those elements together to make something really spooky. Um, so I mean, yes, I loved The Nightmare Before Christmas my whole childhood. I wore all black every day in sixth grade. But I wasn't always drawn to spooky storytelling in this way.
Yeah. Um, okay, well, kind of switching gears there. Um, One of the things that obviously I know about you, I doubt our viewers do, I don't think we've ever it, is that you love the Wizard of Oz and the world of the
Hmm.
Wizard of Oz, and you still currently in progress are building a world inspired by or kind of the world of Oz
Hmm.
in D&D 5e. Um, so, and I think you talked about that maybe a little bit in your last one, the Meet the
I don't
Persons.
remember.
But my question for you is, what other worlds would you like to
Hmm.
see through the lens of a TTRPG?
I
Here at Charm Persons, we obviously have, um, the Remains, which is in the world of The Last of Us. We have our high fantasy world.
hmm
We sometimes get modern, we've done a lot of modern horror movies as TTRPGs, kind of a thing. So what's another genre, another world, or something else that you would like to see through the lens of a TTRPG?
I've always thought, and honestly, I should have maybe thought of this for my one shot, but I think it would be a good long shot to do going back to The Nightmare Before Christmas, one, he goes to the circle and there's all the holiday doors and all
Yeah,
the trees,
yeah,
and do one session in each world. Find a way to set it up so that every session you're going into Easter world, or there's, I would have to look at what all of them are, but that would be just I feel like that's set up to be a long shot, an episodic kind of thing.
yeah. That's very fun.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think all of the scary ones we've done so far have been fun. I think that the cabin in the woods thing was really cool. Um, I'm trying to think. There's so many that exist, I
Yeah,
want to play the Avatar. I
yeah.
want to play, I want to play that Star Wars one again.
And by
Um,
Avatar, she means Last Airbender. There's
oh
the
yes.
TTRPG for the Avatar.
Yes. Um, so there's some of that kind of stuff that I really want to play. I'm also interested in exploring more of the Monster Hearts, Kids on Bikes,
Mm,
Molgoths versus Visigoths, these things that aren't necessarily D&D, but live
yeah.
in other worlds like that. I know that there's a lot of those, and I
There's
would love to explore those more.
there's a couple of TTRPGs that exist where you play as animals that I'm
Oh,
surprised
cool.
that we've never done, and I know
That
that
would be
you
fun.
would really like.
I really would like to, speaking of DMing, I want to DM a one shot of Oops All Druids and
Oops,
just
all
make
druids.
everything kind of crazy because druids have such a like hit point buffer,
Yeah.
and just like make everybody a druid, which basically is everybody's all animals.
Yeah, you're right. That is, yeah. Yeah, there's a TTRPG called Honey Heist where you all play a version of
I've
a
heard that.
bear and you have literally all have like a role in a heist. And you have to do that. There's one where you all play as like familiars for like,
So
and
cute.
yeah, it's very interesting. Um, okay. Talking, moving away from D&D and going and speaking of the remains, um, the remains is a much more serious tone, and we've
Hmm.
seen a different side of you in those games. And I just didn't know if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun to be in a world that is like, as a rule, more serious. I think that as in our like high fantasy stuff, we have been goofy in that world so much
Yeah,
that even when we try to be really grounded, it sometimes we lean toward that goofy.
yeah,
So it's fun to have that fresh start of like, no, like this is a brand new world and a
yeah,
brand new timeline and a brand new circumstance that we're being very serious in. And it helps to have people like Angie, like you, who like people who came in with the intention of taking it very seriously and having the vibe of the game. I've never played the game.
mm-hmm.
So having the vibe of the game brought in by you guys was really helpful in creating that. And it's been fun because we can say we want to be serious and grounded in our high fantasy all we want, and we do want to strive for that for sure. But like I said, because we've been goofy in that world so much, it's inevitable sometimes.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah. No, it happens, and it's. But I also think that that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
Um, and you know that's why those sessions can be that way, and that's why the remains was created to just kind of give a different taste, to give a
Yeah.
more serious, grounded view. Um, uh, there's a couple questions I want to ask you at the end, but I'm trying to think of something before that because we kind of flew through my first few.
I'm just
Um,
really like coherent and organized in
honestly,
my
you are. You're giving very like
brain.
succinct answers. It's like you're on a press. Um, well, I just didn't. Do you have any other thoughts of just like being on Charmed Persons where you want to, maybe like what you want to see in future projects or what you personally want to explore, whether in your games or in your characters? Like, what do you see moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's been really fun to watch Charm Persons continue being a thing. I mean, I think it's sort of the running joke that like the reason nobody has a regular D&D party is because nobody can get their schedule together.
Yeah, it's definitely
And like streaming and, putting in this format has really made all of us take it seriously in the way of scheduling. And so I think we've already started to kind of do this, but I'm excited to see Charm Persons live outside of those of us who started it
yeah,
and be able to have those streams on weeknights that maybe one of us isn't involved in, and to be able to like maybe have content every night of the week. I think that that's been really fun to see and is
yeah,
really possible going forward. I would also love to see us have like, I mean, if we had like a regular audience,
mm,
and like I really think that that can happen, and it'll be so I think sometimes that it'll be so fun when that happens because people will be able to go back and have so much content already,
yeah, yeah,
which is really cool. I mean, imagine if you were just watching this most recent season of Critical Role and then you were like, oh my god, I can go back and watch all of this other stuff.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's exciting to have that much content. So I don't know, it's exciting to think about what we might be able to do in the future, just like being really regular at this. It's exciting to have Kelsey. It's exciting. I mean, it's exciting to have more women joining,
yeah. Of
honestly. I
course, yeah,
mean, we always had some women, but we've added Kelsey, and a lot of the time it is like me, Angie, JMO, and Kelsey all on a session, which is so cool. And Miranda's been there, and Jen's been there. I mean, it's been cool to just like add to this group that was our friends and our people, and like a lot of these people stood up with us at our wedding, and it's like expanded so much to people that we didn't even know when we first started this, which is
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, no. Okay, well, as kind of my last two questions for this person, it's a question that you've already answered in the other ones, one that everybody answers in every Meet the Persons,
Mm,
but I want to see if there's any update. So the first one I will ask is, if you were assigned, someone were to look at your life, the way you've led it, and the way you currently lead it, and they were to give you a class, a subclass, what would it be?
I mean, I think that the easy thing would be I'm gonna give two answers because I think like the easy answer would be like Bard because I have studied theater and I have sung and like all these things. Um, but I don't know, maybe like honestly, maybe like a rogue. Like I feel like I've always been really kind of under the radar
Mm,
and efficient.
yeah.
I think looking from the outside, you might see that as the thing, but I don't know. I think that's different than what I said last time.
Yeah, that's fine. That's why I wanted. That's why I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask because there's. And then, if you had your druthers, if you were able to
Yeah,
go into a character creation for Emily, um, what class would you give yourself? What subclass? And
yeah,
what would you change your race at all? I know you would love to
yeah,
get to
for sure.
backseat.
I have an answer for this.
Yeah.
Um, the class one is easy. Like I would be a druid. I love playing a druid. I think some of it is the changing into animals, but
Would you
also
be
having
Circle
like
of the Moon?
I think I would be Circle of the Moon.
Yeah.
The nature magic is very cool. Like I think that that's what I would do. Yeah, I think I would do Circle of the Moon Druid. I don't know. Like I love tieflings. Like I think being a
Hmm.
tiefling would be really cool.
Yeah. So you would just be Aora.
Yeah,
Yeah. You would be Aora, a Tiefling Circle of the Moon Druid.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. And she was your favorite character, so that
She was, I guess.
makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any other final thoughts? Any concluding things that you want the viewers of John to know?
Keep viewing. We love you. Um, I don't know. I love doing this, and I'm excited to keep doing it. And I love playing a goofy game and telling goofy stories with my friends.
I love you.
I love you.
It has been kind of crazy. Actually, you know what? I will ask you one final.
Yeah.
What's it like being married to a person who is in Charm Persons? And I mean, we've been together for as long as you've been playing tabletop
Yeah.
games, and I don't know, just like what is that like having, like, yes, these are all your friends, these are all your people, but also like your husband. Like,
Yeah.
what does that change or alter anything?
It's funny. I was thinking about this today because on one of my memories was like a time lapse video that you took of all of a session that we played
It
in
was
your
in
old
my memories
apartment.
yesterday.
Yeah, oh, yesterday, yeah. And that was like, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks before we started dating,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I just fully heard gunshots outside. Um,
All right.
yeah. Um, and that was only like, it was just funny to see that pop up because like we started playing D&D together so shortly before we started dating. And so like
Yeah.
D&D is a part of our relationship in such a weird, crazy big way. But it's fun. I mean, I sometimes get little like hints about stuff that's going to happen during the sessions
Yeah.
under the understanding that referring back to my bad memory, if Zach tells me enough days in advance, like something will start to happen in the session and in the moment that it's happening, I'll be like, I knew that this was going to happen, but I did not actually remember until it starts happening. Um, but I also just see like, especially with a weekly campaign and going as far as we've gone, I think that I more than anybody else in the group am able to see the amount of work that is put into stuff. I mean, everybody else knows the amount of work you put into it. They see the amount of work you put into it. But our Sunday, other people play and that's like a part of their Sunday, but in our
Yeah.
house, like Sundays are D&D. Like you get up, you prep,
Yeah.
I do what I need to do, we play. Like Sundays are D&D in our house because both of us do it because we're both so invested in it and because you're doing all the world building. So
Yeah.
um it gives me a different appreciation for it, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, any final thoughts?
Mm, stay cool.
Stay cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Bit of a shorter episode of Meet the Persons, but Emily and I are real good at talking to each other.
Oh yeah, watch my one shot next Tuesday. 1 week from
Yes.
today.
Yes. A week from today at 7 p.m. Central, there's going to be another spooky holiday one shot.
Ooh, I'll give a little teaser.
Please.
Just that. So last year, my one shot was sort of based on the Santa Claus movies. The idea that like whoever kills Santa Claus becomes Santa Claus. And this year's is also based on a holiday classic. And that's all that I'll say.
All right. Can't wait to see who is involved. And this coming Thursday at 7 p.m. Central is the next session of Cursive Strahd. So make sure to check that out. And then Sunday is episode 50 of Campaign 2 at 1 p.m. Central.
That's crazy.
I know, and we're going to
50
be...
to end the year.
50 to end the year, and it's going to be a big dragon battle. So we're going out of 2023 with a bang, so check that out. And then, as Emily said, a week from today, Tuesday the 19th at 7 p.m. Central, spooky holiday one-shot. Come check it out. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my guest. The best guest I could ever ask for.
Yay!
And that's it. Because she is.
Because you'll only ever say it for me.
Yeah, I will.
Take that, everybody else.
But thank you for watching, and as always, everybody say bye.
Bye!